with the first story that I'm going to tell you is going to be happened to someone else, and I was called to actually be a witness in the case. Well, expert testimony. I wasn't actually a witness to the job. The definition of expert must be very loosely defined. But anyway, so I have one of my builder customers. He's been a customer of my father since the 80s. So he was originally a mason, he's a bricklayer. He also does concrete work for himself, and he became a builder. So now he's out of the subcontractor business. He builds. So he gets a call from a family friend. They need a new sidewalk done. So he does it. He rips it out one day, pours it the next day. Job is done, I think, in the month of June. No problem. Job done, gets paid, move on. The winter time comes, snow, salt, cars driving on it with salt, freeze thaw cycles take effect, blah, blah, blah. We hit the spring, the concrete's all peeled up. All peeled. I mean, it was very, very bad. I went there, I looked at it, and it was very, very bad. So, one of the worst cases I've seen. So, the people call my customer. They say, you got to do this again for free or we're going to sue you. He said, well, there's nothing I can do, no warranty. I'm sorry this happened. Take me to court if that's what you want to do. I don't think it happened that bluntly, but I'm just putting it in layman's terms. Go to court. He calls me. He says, can I come and be a witness slash expert testimony? I said, of course. So I go there. They take my name. The people show up. He shows up. Attorneys come, because when you're a corporation in New York, an attorney must represent you. You cannot represent yourself. So we go there. The people come in with a engineer that I think they got from Long Island, or I'm sorry, not an engineer, an architect. I think he came from Long Island. I'm not 100% sure. And his testimony was the concrete failed because it was a hot load. Now, the definition of hot load would be you have an afternoon truck after 1 p.m. That drum has been turning all day long. There's leftover concrete in the drum that they did not wash out and clean out properly. It is now mixed with new concrete, which is a detriment to the new concrete. The old concrete actually infects the new concrete that they just put in the drum. This is a very common practice in New York. This is why I like to stick to morning trucks. So that could cause the concrete to fail. Again, nothing is guaranteed. So my customer shows the ticket that says the truck arrived at 8 a.m., which would have been impossible for it to be a hot load because the truck did not make any delivery stops prior to 8 a.m. Most concrete companies in our area open at 7, so by the time the plant gets going, loading the trucks are not going to get to you till 8 o'clock. So it would be impossible for his testimony to be accurate because the truck got there at 8 a.m. Now, if the truck had got there at 2 p.m., now that's a little bit of a different story. His testimony holds more weight now. Even if he's incorrect, the circumstances surrounding the situation lend itself to go that route. So the judge said, well, it can't be a hot load because it was at 8 a.m. It's the first delivery. And you said yourself, the definition of a hot load is a late afternoon truck with old concrete mixed in. It would be impossible to be a morning truck at 8 a.m. and be a hot load. It's just not possible. So I wasn't even called to testify because we won so hands down that, the judge just didn't want to take any more of his time with that. Now, the other problem the people had in this situation was if you want to recoup money from a previous contractor, now this is in New York City, in the 5 boroughs, I don't know the laws outside of here, you actually have to hire a contractor to remove the job that the previous contractor did and do it new. You cannot keep the service and recoup your money. How do I put this in a better way? You cannot recoup the money and keep the service the contractor provided you. There you go. You have to remove the concrete and show that you could not keep it and use it. If you keep it and use it, you can't recoup the money for it. And I'm going to cover this in my second story about a dryer. So these people had nothing going for them. Now I'm not saying we're not happy that the people's concrete is destroyed, but they have to understand that there's nothing you can do. Sometimes it is the fault of the contractor. Sometimes it is not. Now, that's something I cannot testify to. I don't know how they finish the concrete. Now, I know this guy for many years. He's very good. So I would have a hard time believing that he did a poor job. I believe it's the fault of the company, and I also believe it's the fault of the harsh winters we have in New York. Possibly they put no sealer, or the people threw a ton of salt. It could be one of hundreds of possibilities that may not be the fault of the contractor or the concrete supplier. Now, my friend, who was a contractor, poured a sidewalk in Brooklyn, and the concrete was all spiderweb cracked the next morning. So he called them. They said they wouldn't do nothing about it. He had to rip out the concrete. The customer wouldn't accept it. He ripped it out, repoured it, right? He went to court and sued the concrete company, and the concrete company actually had to reimburse him not only for the load they originally delivered, the load of concrete they delivered the next day to replace it, and his time and labor to remove the busted up concrete, the junk concrete that they poured, and repour it. So my friend actually got paid twice for this job. Not really, because he did the work twice, but in normal circumstances, he would have just got beat for that additional labor, and he would have been lucky to collect just for the material. So he actually got free concrete out of this. Now, in reality, the judge, I don't know why he awarded him both loads, but I guess just because the simple fact that they went to court and the company refused to even talk to my friend, the judge just decided, you know what, these guys are terrible, I guess. I mean, a judge, makes decisions based on his or her own thought processes and the way they interpret things. So my friend got the material for free. He suffered a lot, don't get me wrong, but, he got the 10 yards, I think it was, for free. So that worked out for him. Now, the next story I'm going to cover is not getting paid, but not doing your homework. So I was on a school job. Yes, this is the same job that I purchased the S300 for. The plumber needed a machine to dig for the piping. So the GC called me and said, can you come down and dig for the plumber? Okay. I go there with the 328 excavator I had at the time. I dug out the underground plumbing for them. And day over. He's on a 15-day invoice, right? So I don't remember what day this fell on. I send him the invoice. I charge him for the day. He sends me my check minus that one day. I called him up. I said, what happened? He goes, well, I'm not responsible for paying you for that day you dug for the plumber. I said, okay, well, who's going to pay me? He goes, well, the plumber is. I call the plumber. Plumber says, I'm not responsible for the excavating of the plumbing. Call the GC. Call the GC. I said, the plumber says he's not responsible. Well, he is. It's in his contract. Okay, well, show me the contract. No. So I'm now stuck holding this bag for the day because I didn't do my homework. So I had an issue in my yard, in my office, and that plumber came, and it was supposed to be on the house because they didn't pay me for the plumbing on the job. The plumber that they sent was a worker for them, actually threatened to bodily harm my grandmother if she didn't pay. So I was at work. I couldn't do anything about it at the current moment. So I said, just pay him. I don't want to even be bothered. And I had a fight with the owner, a very lengthy fight. And, I hate him. I don't talk to him even now. And I never got paid. And it was my own fault because I should have asked who was paying. I shouldn't have assumed that the GC was going to pay. But he did call me, in all fairness. But I should have cleared it up to make sure who was paying for what. And as far as the miscommunication of that in my office was supposed to be free and he didn't do it, well, that gets all lost in the translation. I never said that. You misheard me. Without texting, remember, I'm going back 10 years now. Texting was not a big thing back then. Now everything I do is via text. You can't deny it. So now, obviously, I operate a lot differently. But back then, unfortunately, I got stiffed. And I got stiffed twice because I had to pay for the plumbing work in my office, and I got stuck because I didn't get paid for the day of work on the job site. So the blame kind of got tossed back and forth, and nobody paid me in the end. So I got beat. Lesson learned. Sometimes you learn expensive lessons. So that's that. The last story I want to cover is on a commercial job I did where it was a similar situation. The GC company, okay, let's start at the beginning here. There's a building close to the Staten Island Mall. They are going to do a couple of restaurants. They call me. I know the plumber there. This is a different plumber from the story before I just told you. The plumber there calls me. I do work for him all the time. Calls me. I need trenches dug. Okay, no problem. I go to look at the site. They're cutting the slab for the pipes. They're going to saw cut a trench, and I'm going to dig out the trench. I said, you guys have so much marked out here. What on earth are you cutting? They had a trench this way, trench over here, trench over there. And it's like, just take the whole slab out. What are you going to be left with? 100 square feet of slab? It's ridiculous. So we ended up ripping out the entire slab in this particular section. So the GC on the job, who was GCing the job for these restaurants, was very impressed with me. Now, they had a machine on the job prior doing cleanup and interior demolition and whatever. They threw him out, took me in. So I go there because they weren't happy with him. They were happy with me. So I go there. I dig through all the underground plumbing, right? So now that's all done. I make the connection in the street. Done. So now the phone call comes, you need to backfill. Now remember, you can't backfill with the dirt that's on the job. This is a controlled inspection. This is commercial work. This is serious business. This is not the only, baloney we do for the normal houses, regular spec building. So the dirt has to be taken out. Sand has to be brought in. Fill sand, they call it. They get me a dumpster, load the dumpster of dirt, take in the load of sand, throw it in, blah, blah, blah. Concrete contractor says, let's put a couple inches of stone. I said, no problem. Gets the load of stone. We put in the stone. I leave. Done. I get paid. I move on. They call me up. The concrete contractor wants me back. We have to do piers for columns in the front. We have to do digging in the back. We have some more slab to rip out in the basement. That was not relevant to the plumber, but they want to change it. Okay, go back there, drill the holes. I use the auger that I had because they wanted to do a sonotube, but they didn't want to buy a sonotube. So I said, okay, I'll bring the auger. Oh my God, you have an auger? So yeah, I had an auger. My father bought it for me. So I drill the holes. Oh, they are so impressed. They actually think I'm a professional. Man, did I fool them. So drill the holes, dig the thing in the back. We ended up breaking out all the sidewalk in the front. Dumpstered that out. Time to get paid again. I send the bill to the GC company. The GC company goes, what's this? I said, it's my bill. Well, who told you that it was authorized for you to bill us? I said, well, these two guys that were running the job from day one. Well, they had no right to hire you. It should have been given under a contract. I said, what difference does it make? You paid the last bill. My contract is I get hired on a per day basis. I think they owed me 3 days. So I said, that is the contract. You have a machine on the site for the day. This is the amount of money. This is the extra attachments we had, the concrete breaker, the auger. This is what you paid previous. You know all this already. They said, oh, well, the concrete contractor should have handled that. I said, well, no way, Jose. I said, your guys hired me. The concrete contractor doesn't even know me. He said, bring your Bobcat back. The GC guys that were running the job called me and had me come back. I don't even know this guy. I never met him previous. I've never seen him since. I mean, I'm going back to 2006 now. So I said, how can I work out a deal with a concrete contractor? I don't even know. Your guys called me. I showed up. Okay. Well, they had no authorization to hire you. They had no authorization. They paid the other guys on the job. Turns out this company misbid the project. The project went way over budget. And the restaurant that hired them wasn't paying any more money. They said, to heck with you. We're not paying anymore. You told us this was the price. You didn't come through. That's your problem. Well, so I found that out. This company was from Florida. These two guys came from Florida. They lived in New York for a little while. They went back to Florida. They were just using this as a cover to not pay anybody. So the concrete contractor didn't get paid. I didn't get paid. Some of the trimmers didn't get paid. The molding guy and a few other people. Electrician, I believe, was one of them. So, again, I found all this out from my lawyer. I said, well, I need to proceed with this lawsuit. So I went to the restaurant, and they had taken a photo of me working there, and it was, boom, plastered on the wall. So I took a picture of that picture. So remember, digital cameras, I didn't really have when I had a disposable camera. I'm very late with technology. So I pull out my disposable camera, and I'm taking a picture of this billboard, this little billboard they have in the front. So the hostess goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm taking a picture. That's me on the wall. I said, I haven't been paid. I said, your restaurant is open, and there are a lot of guys who didn't get paid in the end. I said, so this is a problem. So she goes, oh, let me get the manager. Manager came. I explained the situation. The manager calls the district manager. District manager goes to headquarters. Headquarters comes back and says, we need a list of who didn't get paid and the amounts. I said, okay. I call my lawyer. My lawyer calls their lawyers, and it's a whole cycle, but we get a whole list of everyone who didn't get paid, all their invoices, and the dollar amounts. We hand it into the manager. The manager, again, district manager, who forwards it to headquarters. Headquarters goes, the Florida company didn't pay anybody. So they call the company in Florida. They said, well, the heck with that. We lost our shirts. We're not paying anybody. It's your problem now. Well, so the restaurant doesn't want this publicity. I told the manager, I said, I'm going to sit outside your restaurant, and everyone that comes in here, I'm going to say they didn't pay their trades. I said, I'm just going to do it. I said, I'm going to protest. Before protesting was cool, I'm going to protest your restaurant, which in reality I really couldn't do. But they didn't know that. It would basically be like the union putting the rat in front of the job, except I couldn't use a rat. Maybe I use an eagle. So the restaurant doesn't want the bad publicity. They actually didn't like the way the job went down. They ended up paying all the invoices off. I was the catalyst that started it because I just wouldn't let it go. And they ended up paying everybody. So that was pretty cool. Very nice of the restaurant. They're still there now. And, sometimes you just got to plug along and fight. And I actually got everyone else paid. No one gave me $1. That's okay. They don't have to. But everyone ended up getting paid from that job. So, fantastic. And the thing is that these contractors were willing to just let it die there. I went there just randomly and I saw my picture there. So let's cover let's cover everything we discussed. when you do work on a job, take pictures. That picture, according to my attorney that I took of that billboard, was huge because it proved I worked on the site. See, that's a lot. That's also a way that companies get out of paying you if you don't have a signed contract. They just say you never worked there. It's a lie. If they could create even a smidge of reasonable doubt, they can get away with it. Always take photos of the jobs. Take photos of the work. If you order material, keep your receipts, the addresses that they were delivered to, and make sure it has your name on it. So when the concrete companies deliver to my jobs, even though I know all my builders, they actually write, I'm the contact person. So the account is my builder, the address of the job site, and then contact person is Mike Wotaki and my phone number. So every one of these tickets I get, they give you 3 copies. One for the foreman, one for the customer, and one for you to keep. So I actually keep the pink receipt. And that's actually the proof that I ordered the material for that job and I was the contact person. So if I ever had to take any of my customers to court, which I don't think I ever will, they're pretty good people, I could actually prove I worked on that site and I ordered material there. So that's actually a good thing. And it works out, for every single job I do, not just for my builders, but for everybody. So always take photos and keep receipts. That's huge. In the first case we discussed with concrete peeling, first of all, keep your delivery tickets, like I said previous. If someone is going to sue you and they don't get the service you did replaced, they're not going to recoup any money. The second thing is also realize is that they cannot recoup more money than you charged. So let's say you did the sidewalk for $5,000. If another contractor goes there to gouge them or they're trying to make money on top of you, which happens a lot, let's just say the next contractor charges $8,000. You're not going to pay 8. You're going to pay back the 5 that you received. So that's another thing to bear in mind. So for all of you homeowners who watch this channel, if you're trying to recoup from a contractor and you go to court, at least where I am, you need to actually have to exchange the service. So the other story I was going to tell you about with the dryer was I had ordered a dryer from Sears and it was broken. It was broken on the first day it came. They delivered it. They told me it was generating heat. I use it. They delivered it on a Thursday. I used it on Saturday. No heat. I used it on another load. No heat. Nothing's dry. Called them on Monday. And just to keep the story short, they just BS me back and forth. They were going to send a technician. They never did. They told me they were going to give me a new dryer. So basically all they did was they took, like in football, a victory formation, kneeled on the ball, and let the clock run out 30 days. They didn't have to exchange the dryer and give me a new one. So I said, well, the thing never worked from day one. I really would like a new dryer. So they kept telling me they were going to do it, and they just kept not processing the paperwork. They kneeled on the ball for 30 days, and now they're out scot-free. They're out of their contract, which is a 30-day exchange policy. So they ended up sending a third-party company to come, and it was this little itty-bitty, I forget what it was called, this little bitty part that the guy said they probably dropped the dryer and it broke. He goes, it happens a lot, actually. He knew it right away. When he came, wasn't generating heat, the first thing he checked was that, and it was broken. So it's a very common thing that happened. So now the dryer works great. But prior to that, after they told me the 30 days expired, I was SOL. I had called my credit card company and wanted to reverse the charge. They didn't reverse the charge because they said I still had the dryer. I said, well, I asked them to pick it up. They refused to pick it up and give me a new one. They refused to take it. They said, well, no. You still have the product. You can't get the money reimbursed to you. So always keep that in mind. If the customer keeps your service, you're not going to pay the money back because they're still using it. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And when you're working for third-party contractors, you're not working directly for the GC and you're not working directly for yourself. Get a signed contract and know who's paying. And if The GC says the plumber is paying, the electrician, whatever it may be. Make sure you contact that person, let them know how much the bill is going to be, or roughly, if you're per hour, whatever the case may be, and make sure they agree to it and even sign a contract. Always sign a contract. Whatever you do on a job site, sign a contract. Now, my father is billed by the day, like the machines. This is what I was doing back then before concrete. I was just billed by the day. So really, what contract do you have to sign? I mean, you're hired by the day. But sometimes these little things they slip through the cracks and guys can get away without paying you. It's just that simple. So always make sure that everyone is on board and everyone understands who's paying what. This disaster could have all been averted at the school job if I would have just called the plumber, made sure he was aware that he was getting billed and for the day, and then there wouldn't have been an issue. Just a footnote, when I backfilled that plumbing for the school, the GC paid me, not the plumber. So a lot of these jobs, also the job that I told you about the restaurant, was the same situation. The plumber paid me for the excavating for the pipes, but the GC covered the backfill. So that's something to keep in mind. Just do your research. Make sure you know who's paying you for what. So that would go for you excavating guys out there who get hired by the day. Make sure you do all of this research. Don't be like me and you just flew it to the wind or you made assumptions. Remember, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So don't make an ass out of yourself. And, I hope these lessons that I have learned the hard way have helped you out. And as far as the concrete, we're going to discuss concrete, why it fails. We're going to discuss rebar, wire mesh, why you should have it, why maybe there are times when you don't need it. I hope this video has helped you out. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them down below. Thank you everyone for subscribing. It means a lot to me. I'm glad that these videos are helping everyone out. And please feel free to comment, ask questions. If you want me to cover something that I have not covered, please leave it down below. You want to walk around, you want to discuss purchasing equipment, you want to discuss concrete, you want to discuss employees and management, whatever, I will make a video for you. It may take me time, but I will get it to you. Guys, have a great day.